Our next presenter is Irene Bilak. She's a native of the Ukraine who immigrated to the United States in 1949. She has taught junior, senior, and college level courses in English, speech, drama, and history. She has also taught the Ukrainian language to children. Help me welcome Irene Bilak.
I light this candle in memory and in honor of all those who have to suffer because of war. Irusha was just 3 years old when one morning her mother woke her. "Get up, little Dotcha, get up. It's time to get up and go on our journey." Mama, what are you talking about? Where are we going?" said Irusha as she rubbed the sleep from her eyes. "We have to go somewhere, daughter, where we are going to be safe, away from war, away from strife. Tato and I are already packed. The horses and the wagon are ready. Your brothers are all packed and waiting outside. We have to leave." You see, Irusha was too little to understand that a Nazi soldier had been killed on their doorstep several days before. And whether it was a Ukrainian patriot or a Soviet soldier who killed the Nazi soldier, the family would be under suspicion, as this was 1943, a very dangerous time in Europe, and especially in Ukraine, where Soviet armies and the Soviet Union was in control of the country of Ukraine. There was another problem. Tato, as Ukrainians called Dad, had gone AWOL from the Soviet army, an army he didn't want to belong to in the first place. He was not Russian, he was not a Soviet, but he was conscripted and he had to go, but he was AWOL. He wanted to be with his family. So the family had to decide, mother and dad had to decide that they had to flee. They packed their bags and they took their horses, their wagon, their 2 sons and daughter, and a cow. Their cow was called Siva, which means gray, and hitched it to the back of the wagon so that the children could have milk. Well, as you can imagine, it was a long and bumpy ride as they traveled through western Ukraine. Partisan Ukrainian guerrilla soldiers helped them along the way as they traveled through western Ukraine through very, very friendly villages and towns where they were overnighted many a time. But there was shelling. There were Polish soldiers who were fighting Ukrainians. There were Russian soldiers. There were German soldiers. There was very much danger. So even when the family stopped and opened a fire to maybe cook some food, all of a sudden they had to leave everything and run into the forest or into the field and hide. But the soldiers, the partisan Ukrainian soldiers, helped them along the way, and the friendly people who lived in the towns and villages did help them as well. Mother had packed many, many good dishes along, staples of food that they could use. But whenever they ran out, native people helped them out. And when Mother had valuable things that she had brought from home, she bargained with the locals and could trade for fresh vegetables and fruits. Along the way, they saw beautiful Carpathian mountains in Ukraine, friendly villagers, and the Hutsul mountaineers with their beautiful customs and colorful ways of life. When the Ukrainian partisans helped them get all the way to Czechia and Slovakia, the Slavic people in Czechia and Slovakia were, of course, of the same race of people and said, "Why are you people running away from Slavic Russians? They are people as well. What's the matter with you?" Little Irusha knew the answer, as little as she was. They're not friends. They're Soviet people. They want to take our land. They're killing people. My little cousin Ola and her family have been taken to Siberia. We have to flee. And so many, many families along the way with them were going the same way. As they were going slowly with cow Siva following along to give milk to the boys and to little Irusha, they saw a young man walking on foot. He happened to be somebody from the same town. "Mr. Stach," he said to Irusha's dad, "I have a watch and an American dollar. That would stand us in good stead. How about taking me along?" "Sure," said Mr. Stach. And so now there were 6 of them, the men walking, mother and the children riding on the wagon. As they were going along, the Czechs and the Slovaks greeted them all along the way, gave them delicious white bread and grapes to help them, and partisan soldiers heeded them and paved the way. But when German soldiers found them, Nazi soldiers, they said, "We'll help you too. Stay with us. Come with us. And we will give you a free Ukraine. Help us to win the war effort." How they lied. They didn't win for Ukraine. But they did help the family cross the border into Hungary. In Hungary, the family had to give up everything that they had. However, they were given a voucher. Irusha was so sad. As the cow Siva lay on the ground on her haunches, Irusha put her hands on the cow's neck, the wrinkled old neck, and she sobbed. The horses had to be given away, the wagon, and all their belongings. The militia said, "You can keep your personal belongings, your cooking utensils, your clothes, and here is a freight train that you can get on. We will give you a voucher, and with that voucher, when you get to Vienna, Austria, you will get lodging and some money." Well, Tato quickly put the voucher in his pocket, and he said to Mother, "We must do as they say. We must get on the train. Mother, here are some bundles for you to carry. Greg, Yuri, you take these bundles, and I will take some along also. Yerusha, hold your mother's hand, and we have to get in line." As they were standing in line, hoping for the best, the militia also announced that the train would leave in about 3 hours. There was standing room only. There was no milk. There was no water for the children, and there was no place to sit. There are no toilet facilities at all. So, and there was bombing along the way. They could guarantee no safe passage. Well, obviously they were very, very concerned, but what could they do? This was the only way to go west, where there was hopefully no war. This was the only way to get away from the Soviets. So they got in line. As they were standing there waiting, a young couple holding a white poodle on a leash came up to them. Pani Dobrodiko, if you please, madam, could I speak to you? Proszę duże. And she stepped aside with her husband. These people want to talk to us. I don't know what about. My name is Claudia Rosan. This is my husband, Anton. We are Carpathian Ukrainians. We have lived in Hungary for many years, and we are childless. We would be so happy to help you. Could we take your little girl and guide her and guard her until you are safe to come back to Ukraine? We would be very happy to do that. Mother turned white. Father looked at his wife and said, moved aside a bit and said, is she kidding? Is she crazy? Is this a joke? No, said Claudia, I am very serious. We want to help you. We can even give you some money so when you get to Vienna, you will be having some resources. The parents looked at each other. You know, Father, said Mama, really, if there are no toilet facilities, there's no milk, there's no water, there's no sitting room, only standing, perhaps Irusha would be much safer here at a nice home in Hungary, and then when we go back, we'll claim her. I don't know. And then Father stepped closer to the Rusans. Are you sure? Do you promise to give her back to us when we return? Ooh, all aboard. The people on the train, waiting for the train in line, were getting on.